Hi there again everyone, welcome back to Leanne's Loopy Library, where I sometimes wear crowns and talk about books and stuff. So today I'm just going to wrap up November and tell you about all the books I read in November and let you know what I thought of them and the ratings I gave them and where I'm up to now, kind of in a way, because a book has rolled over and it's taken a while to read. So I'm just going to hit screen record on my tablet when it wants to and show you my journal on my tablet as I usually do. I'll pop it up here. So this is my November spread. I drew this from like a art tutorial online, but it's very pretty and it looks kind of cold and wintry, so I thought I'd put that up as my November kind of starter spread. And then I have this over here, which was my TBR for November. And I think, yeah, I didn't get to all of these books because it was just too much for me to read, especially with the one I'm still currently reading. So if I go over a page, and I will start with, it feels like it's been forever since I read these first books of the month. It feels like ages ago. So I started off with the Rise of Kyoshi by F.C. Yi, who worked with the one of the co-creators of the show, I'm pretty sure. This was a lovely book. Put my teeth back in. This was a lovely book. I gave it 4.5 stars, as you can see. It's got my current favourite avatar. My current favourite avatar, Kyoshi, because she is absolutely fantastic. It's got a bisexual main character, which is also fantastic, and I just adored all of it. The romance wasn't too much, it was just kind of there within the story. It wasn't like massively focused on. The story carried on as always, and it was really cool to see this girl who thought that she was just a normal girl working, doing like kind of servant type jobs, and she discovers, well, we all know that Kyoshi's an avatar. If we've watched the show, we just, she's mentioned in the shows anyway. But finding out that she's this avatar, when she thought her friend was actually the avatar, and having to work through all of the emotions of that and basically go on her adventure. And I'm really excited to get to the second book at some point because I really want to get to that. It's very exciting. I might get it to myself for Christmas if I can. We'll see. So moving on from the Rise of Kyoshi, which again I really enjoyed, I read Sunderland Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I gave this 5 stars. It was fantastic. I know everybody, there's so many people on BookTube and on Discord and everything raving about the Books of Babel. So I finally picked it up. I finally read it, and I'm so glad I did because I really enjoyed following Thomas Sunderland. He's a bit of a like everyday man. He can be a little bit boring sometimes. That's the only way I can explain him. But he's actually really cool to follow because he's just like everybody else, apart from the fact that he's either autistic or neurodivergent in some way. As a lot of people have said that he's basically he's either autistic or he is neurodivergent in some way. And I can see that coming from him, having known so many people who are autistic in my life. You can kind of see the similarities in Sunderland. And so he's going on a honeymoon with his new wife, his new bride, to the Tower of Babel, thinking it's a lovely holiday destination, that he's just going to go there for a couple of weeks and then go home back to his normal life. And basically the Tower of Babel is not what everybody on the outside thinks it is. People go there and never come back. And this is, he loses his wife pretty quickly when he gets there. And he's, adamant to find her. He gets robbed and all this kind of stuff right at the beginning. And so he has to kind of work his way up the levels of the tower to try and find his wife and see if they can meet somewhere, and he just thinks it's a normal place, but the more he goes through this tower, the more corrupt he finds out people are, and he tries to make friends, he tries to trust people, and sometimes it goes wrong, sometimes it goes right, and then you might find out more about the person that he trusted and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool to follow, and I really look forward to reading Almost Thinks. Hopefully in December I get to it. It's like one of my priority reads. I need to buy it still, but I do really want to read it because I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed Sunderland Ascends. So it's something I highly recommend if you want a story like this, full of corruption and following somebody who's just like everybody else. You know, he's not some super powered guy. He's just like somebody you'd meet anywhere really, because he's a teacher. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Again, 5 stars, and I wasn't expecting it to love it as much as I did, so it was a good surprise. So moving on, I read, because of course I read, The Mysterious Study of Dr. Sex by Tamsin Muir. This is a little story, like it's like a prequel to Gideon the Ninth. You're better off reading Gideon before you read this, because there's some context in Gideon, like towards the end of Gideon, that you might not get if you don't read Gideon first. Of course, I gave this 5 stars. It's Tamsin Muir's writing. And of course, when I was reading this book, I read it in my head in Moira Quirk's voice, because that's just the voice of these books for me now. The audiobooks for these are fantastic, and if you're going to read the Locked Tomb series, I 100% recommend the audiobooks because they are perfect. Like, they are my favourite audiobooks of all time, because Moira Quirk just portrays the characters and the story so, so well, and I adore it. But obviously I couldn't read this via audio. I read it online as like it's on the Tor website, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really enjoyed following this little story. It's basically somebody who's died, and it's set in the sixth house, which is one of the planets of this universe, and they are finally going in to study what happened to the guy who died in there, and they're not allowed to touch anything. These people can kind of read history through bones and stuff like that, so they can kind of sometimes see what happened and all that kind of, yeah, that kind of stuff. I really love like death magic, bone magic, all this kind of stuff in books, so it's no wonder that the Locked Tomb series is, for me, it's one of my favourite books of all time, my favourite series of all time, and this isn't even finished yet, and I can clarify that that is the case, and I trust Moira Quirk to continue this series and them still be brilliant. So anyway, moving on. This is my spread for Iron Widow, which is the next book I read. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 stars, and this is by, I still don't know if I'm saying the name right, but Ziran J. Zhao, maybe. Again, I don't know. As you can see from my spread, this has polyamory in it. I know that people might think this is a spoiler. I went into it not being certain if there was polyamory in this book, but the romance isn't like the big, thickest part of the plot. And I don't know, you might not even know who the polyamorous relationship is between until you get to a certain point of the book anyway. But yeah, the romance is part of the plot, of course it is, but it's not like really, really like normal YA. It's not like one of the biggest parts of the plot. But this is about a woman who, not even really a woman, like a young woman, a girl, maybe like older teenage years. I can't quite remember how old she is. Her family is selling her into being a concubine pilot for these big, and now I'm forgetting the words for it, like a big robot destroyer type thing. I can't remember what they're called. Of course I don't remember what they're called when I'm recording a video about it. But yeah, she has to be a concubine pilot for this guy who has previously killed her sister, and so she's going into this with the thought, I'm going to kill this guy because he killed my big sister and I want revenge. And this story is basically about this girl who wants revenge. She wants vengeance on the people who rule because the where they live, the society they live in is so corrupt that she is just angry. She is so angry, and she's going full force. If you want a book with a woman who's just really angry and will do anything to fight back against the society she's had to suffer through, then this is a perfect book for you because it's just so great. It's like shown up as YA, but I think I wouldn't let a 13-year-old read this, and I know 13-year-olds can read YA. I probably would have read it at 13, but I think I was a little bit more mature than some 13-year-olds. I think it just depends on the person, because some 13-year-olds can be quite mature and some just no. But yeah, I would say like older teenagers and up to read this because it can be quite dark, quite gruesome, and yeah, I would say it's more new adult maybe, but it's portrayed as YA, so I suppose yeah, you can read it from 13 up, but I think it just depends on the teenager. But yes, it's fantastic. It's angry and it's just a woman raging, and I've really wanted this because a lot of these YA books they have a woman raging, but then they kind of tamed down a little bit and they calm and fit into the society, where she just rages and she does not stop raging, and I actually love this. I love it so much. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this book. Moving on to the next one I read was The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. Gave this a 4.5 stars. Really, really enjoyed. I'm really enjoying reading Lord of the Rings, guys. I'm very excited to finish off with the Return of the King this month. And yes, I know what happens, but you know what I mean, like following him with the book instead of the movie and see what happens in the book. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Legolas and Gimli are still my favourite duo. I love them, I ship them. I want them to get married. I'm shamelessly saying that, I don't care. I know you might not want that, but I want them to get married and have babies because I love them. Samwise, because Frodo and Samwise were in like the latter half of the book. We got everybody else in the beginning half, and then Samwise and Frodo in the second half. I still really like Samwise, but I feel like I don't know his anger towards Gollum slash Schmeagol. I don't know. I can see why he's angry at him and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of lowered my love for him. I still adore Samwise so much. Don't get me wrong. I still love him, but I think just that anger and resentment is kind of. I don't know if the ring makes people just kind of like that. I don't know if it's just doing it to Frodo or what, but I don't know. So yeah, I really enjoyed The Two Towers. It was absolutely fantastic. There was less singing. Thank God there was less singing. Oh, it was killing me in the first book, especially Tom Bombadil. I hate him so much. But I'm so glad he's just not here anymore. I know it's really bad for those who love him, but I just can't with Tom Bombadil. I really can't. Yes, again, fantastic. Really enjoyed this book. I had a very good month in November for reading. I then read a little light book because I needed something very easy to read after reading some of these books, especially Lord of the Rings is fantastic, but it is hard to read. So I read Rainbow Grey by Laura Ellen Anderson, and I gave that 4 stars. It's a very cute, very nice little kids book. I really enjoyed reading it. I would have adored this as a child, and that's why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, because I know little me would have adored this book so much. She's got rainbow powers and she goes against rebels, and it's just so cool. They use weather magic and I loved it. And it spoke to little Leanne from when I was like 8. I would have adored this. Maybe even younger. So yeah. Definitely recommend for children. It's so lovely. Moving on, I then went back into a older kind of book and I read The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. 4 out of 5 stars. not a new favourite, but it really like sings to me because again, death magic, bone magic, all that kind of stuff. I love it. I love it. I love it. So definitely had to give it a 4. Some of it could have made me lower it to a 3, but because of what it is, and it's got found family, guys, and that speaks to me as well. It makes me happy. It makes my heart happy, and the way it ended was really like really cool as well. Just because of it had this hint of, oh no, like impending doom. I'm not going to tell you how it ended, obviously, but there was this, yeah, sinisterness to the ending, and that's all I'm going to say. There was these really cool little ragdolls that are supposed to be like visually terrifying, which they probably are, but they're lovely. Like they look after our main character, and yeah, they kind of made me happy too. I want these little ragdolls to help me like just clean up and stuff. Forget the Snow White animals that help her tidy up. I want these little ragdolls because they're just cool and I love them. But yeah, I absolutely adored this book as well. Again, not a favourite, not anywhere near like Gideon standard, but still lovely, and I really enjoyed reading into this world. I really enjoyed some of the characters. They were fantastic, and the found family obviously sold me, so I'm glad I read it. Moving on then, I read The Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I have previously read The House on the Cerulean Sea and I adored it. I adored this too. Again, this is the month of death magic. It's not so much death magic as the other two, but like somebody moving on and being a ghost and having to process being dead, and it's a romance as well, and it hurt my heart. It's got a ghost dog. It's got a little ghost dog, and it was so cute. It was like another little found family system, and found family really just gets me, guys. I love found family stories, and this is gay, and it's just it was the cutest thing. TJ Klune really knows how to pull on those heartstrings. And I just loved it because our main character is a bit of a douche at the beginning of the book. He's really unlikable. You think, how could I possibly like this guy? And obviously TJ Klune just makes him really nice by the end of the book. And you end up liking him and like really shipping the romance in this book and really liking the characters. So yeah, I really like how the story went. I gave it a 4 stars. I gave The House on the Cerulean Sea a 5 stars, I'm pretty sure, when I read that. So The House on the Cerulean Sea is still my favourite, but I adored this too. It was just, it was so cute. So, happy with it. I'm happy with it. I'm really glad I have it, and I'll probably read it again because it's nice, and it's a nice break from all the craziness fantasy can drag you into, because I adore my fantasy books, but they can make you so stressed sometimes, and this just made my heart happy. Even though it made me cry, it made my heart happy. So moving on to nothing, actually. That was the last thing I read because I have this beast, this chonker, The Shadow Rising, and I'm nearly halfway through it right now. But this has been eating up a lot of my time because it's 1,000 pages long, or 1,001 pages long. And yeah, I've been chatting to people whilst I've been reading it, so it's been going a bit slower. But hopefully I'll finish it this month and perhaps read the next one. I've got some catching up to do because I'm supposed to be reading one a month and I'm only halfway through this one. And it's the 6th of December, guys. It's the 6th of December and I'm having to sort stuff for Christmas, so I have less time to read anyway. But like I said in my last video, I am trying to make it so like I have a bit more of a relaxed month this month. So my priority reads are The Fellowship of... No, I've already read that. The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien and The Fires of Heaven, which is the next one from this. Hopefully I get to it. And then after that, I can basically read wherever I want. Another priority is Arm of the Sphinx because I definitely want to read that too. Let's just see. Oh yeah. So here's just like a little look at a glance like what I read this month. These are some books that I bought this month, just gone, and then yeah, we move on to December. So I'm quite proud of what I did this month, even though what did I not read? I'm not going to put pictures up or anything because I've stopped screen recording now. So the books that I didn't read were Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. I didn't read that because there was so much I needed to read. Like I say, I'm still reading a book from last month. So there was Warheart by Terry Goodkind, which is another book that I need to read so I can finish off a series. Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This is something I DNF'd a while ago and I've wanted to give it another chance. Obviously that hasn't happened this month. There was The Wolf and the Woodsman. I didn't get to that because I think I got put off it a little bit because I was going to read it as part of a book club and nobody really liked it that much, so oh well. And then there's obviously The Shadow Rising that I'm reading right now and hopefully I'll get through it a bit quicker now. We'll see. So yeah, that was my reading month, guys. I think I did have a bit too much on my TBR for November, and I had a few ups and downs in the month with my personal life. I mean, things happen and you can't always do the things that you love doing, so yeah. So hopefully December goes well. I want to get some series finished if I can, and yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, and TTFN. Bye bye guys, happy reading.